Welcome on in, race fans. My name is Jared Haas, and let's dive into another NASCAR mailbox. And now this first question comes from Nathan Ackerly. They ask, what are your thoughts on Carson Hocevar and Corey LaJoie's performance? Now, first, I'm going to start with Carson Hocevar making his Cup Series debut for Spire Motorsports. Carson, regular in the Truck Series, finally scored his first career win at Texas Motor Speedway this season and has raced for Spire before in the Xfinity Series, scoring 2 top 10 finishes. Hocevar was running pretty well up in the field, about the 20s position for Spire Motorsports before the brake rotor failed and he finished dead last. Ironically, last season at Gateway, the number 7 car for Spire Motorsports finished last as well. Unfortunately for Hocevar, not the debut that he wanted, but I'd still give him a B+ for how he was able to run his car. Now, the other equation on this was Corey LaJoie. Now, if there's a race that I feel bad for Corey LaJoie trying to have his one shot to prove everything in a Hendrick car, was at Gateway. Hendrick Motorsports last year was not great. It had no cars finish inside the top 10 last year, and even Alex Bowman struggled this year too. Even ironically, Corey LaJoie during the race actually passed Kyle Larson, who ended up in the top 5. So Hendrick Motorsports did struggle on there, and Corey LaJoie kind of ran around the same pace, and he finished in the same position that Chase Elliott did last year in 21st. Both had their struggles. So I'm giving him a C, considering the fact that he didn't obviously, set the world on fire driving the number 9 car, but I would argue that almost Chase Elliott wasn't going to set the world on fire in the number 9 car either at Gateway. We'll see, we never know. We may never know with this situation, but I think Corey LaJoie managed what he could. He was behind the 8 ball, considering the fact he had some goof ups, especially in qualifying and the beginning of the race. But I think there's something where Corey LaJoie learned a lot from the situation, and he maintained this car into relatively one piece. So Corey LaJoie, we're basically right as average replacement for that. So C for my rating for Corey LaJoie for him replacing Chase Elliott for a race. And now this next question comes from MLT. They asked, is Ty Gibbs constantly ticked off? KBA and Joe Gibbs Racing are equal in wins so far. Well, it's a little bit, for the first part of the question, is Ty Gibbs constantly tick off? Ty Gibbs is a very different point of his career than Kyle Busch is. Let's remember, Ty Gibbs, still really young in this Cup Series, still doesn't even have his 30 starts under his belt. And he's going to some of these tracks like Gateway in the Cup Series for the first time. So it's definitely a learning curve for Ty Gibbs to at least to establish himself. We saw himself establish himself in the Xfinity Series early on by winning a lot, but this is a different beast compared to the Xfinity Series. So there's going to take some time to get his footing in the NASCAR Cup Series, but I think for Ty Gibbs himself, I think the thing is getting stuff week in and week out, having good finishes, within the top 10. He had a streak of three straight races of 9ths. He hasn't had the best of luck. He had 20th at Gateway, 26th at the Coca-Cola 600. Not the best of runs. You want him in the top half of that top 20, closer to the top 10. But I think the important thing is this is still Ty Gibbs. He's pretty young. But for the Joe Gibbs racing type of aspect, you think you're the top dog in this situation. And I think if people would have thought that Kyle Busch was still going to stay with Joe Gibbs Racing, I don't think he would have had this revitalization that he's had with Richard Childress Racing. You saw it when he left Hendrick Motorsports, won 8 races with Joe Gibbs Racing. You saw that when he won the championship in 2015 after getting injured. He revitalized himself. I think Kyle Busch is very adapted to change, and with him being with Richard Childress Racing, it really made him more comfortable. So, it was tough to leave for Joe Gibbs Racing. It's hard to look and say all of a sudden your former driver is winning the same amount of races so far as all 4 of your drivers. But I think it's just the change of scenery has really helped Kyle Busch get into his own. And that will do it for NASCAR Mailbox. And we are going to take an off week next week, as NASCAR is taking an off week as well. But don't fret not. We will return as well. But as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button and have a great race weekend.
Hey everyone, Dalton Hopkins here with FrontStretch.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check out one of the 2 videos next to me to see more of our racing content.